17th of September, Rabbi Furst, Parsha Shavua. Okay, the rabbi's coming.
Okay. Good. Can you hear that drilling? Good.
I cannot hear any drilling, no.
No. Hold on.
Good morning. Shalom. Good morning, Roy.
Morning, Rabbi Furst.
Good
Morning, Rabbi.
How's everyone today?
Baruch Hashem.
Okay, Michiel, good to see you. I've seen there too. Okay. So we can begin. This is Erev Shabbos, Parshas Chazinu, Tavshin Pei Beis. And we're going to learn some Chumash now. Hashem. If you have your Chumash Devarim, I think that's all we need for today. And take that out. I'll recommend where you go. Yeah. Chumash Devarim. That's in the Perek Lamed Beis. Posik Mem Daled.
You want Lamed Beis?
Yeah.
Daled. Mem Daled. Lamed Beis.
Right.
Mem. Yud. This is Kof. Mem. Mem Hay. What was the, sorry, Mem Daled, was it? Mem Hay.
Mem Daled, right.
Daled.
Right.
Daled. I've got Hay. Daled, Gimel. I've got Gimel now. That was nice, Gimel. Daled. Here's Daled. Oh, here it is.
Oh, you found it, Roy?
Yes.
So very good. Okay, if you want to read the pasuk, if you want, let's see, Mem Daled, right? Yes, pasuk Mem Daled. Well, we'll start with one pasuk at a time.
All right. Yovo Moshe ve'daber es kol divrei ha'shira hazos ve'aznei ha'am hu ve'hashay bin nun. And Moshe came and spoke all these words of this song in the ears of the people, he and Hoshea, the son of Nun.
Okay, so first of all, it seems a little out of place. Why was Yeshua singled out specifically in this pasuk, right? How do you understand what went on here? What is the pasuk telling us? You know, any ideas, Roy or Lou? You feel? What's the Moshe v'yidaber es kol divrei hashir hazos v'aznei ha'am hu v'Yoshua ben Nun.
Well, the thing that strikes me is it seems odd that it says, and Hosea ben Nun.
Right.
He come into it all of a sudden.
Yeah, it seems a little bit out of balance, no?
Yeah, did they both say it?
Well, is that what it means? Is that what it means that Yeshua was saying, or he was listening to it? I don't know. We have to first try and understand what the plain meaning of the pasuk is. Right?
Well, the plain meaning would seem to me to say that both he and Hosea were saying this, but that makes me ask, what? That doesn't make sense.
Maybe it's that that Moshe told Hosea, and Hosea was the intermediary between Moshe and the people.
Could be.
Although why he would need it after everybody hearing the 10 Commandments.
I mean, the order first of all, the order of the pasuk is a little bit strange. I mean, if the pasuk wants to tell me that Moshe and Yoshua spoke these words to the people, it should have been Moshe, Yoshua ben Nun, right? With Dibru, right?
Mm-hmm. What was the pasuk before? I'm just looking at the pasuk before that because it starts here with and Moshe.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if anything before that. Make
Well,
all your nations.
That's I think the body of the shir. That's part of the actual shir.
That's the end of the song.
Yeah, that's the end of that's the end of the actual song.
The song ends, and then the narrator comes along and says, this is the song that Moshe spoke.
Right.
That makes sense. If you leave out he and Hosea ben Nun, then we wouldn't have a question.
Right. So I'm not really comfortable with the way the pasuk is constructed here.
Rashi doesn't say anything.
No, there's nothing, no Rashi on it.
Oh, no, yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Where?
There is Rashi, but okay, take a look at the Rashi. Rashi's coming to. There's Rashi's going to help us understand this. You want to read the Rashi?
Where's the Rashi? I've got 26, 27, but 43.
Should be 44. Pasuk 44.
Well, I've got 43, but I haven't got 44.
So it
Or-
must be.
Moses came and spoke these words. Mhm.
Yeah.
No. I've got in English I haven't got 44 that I could
Look,
see.
It has to be there, otherwise take it back to the printer.
That's going to be difficult. Lamed Daled. No.
It's Mem Daled, not Lamed Daled.
Oh, Mem Daled, sorry, Mem Daled. 40. I've got Mem Daled in the Ivrit. That's 40. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. 47. Oh. 41, 46, 44. Oh, here it is, tucked away in another page completely. Right. I've got him. It wasn't on the same page, it was on a page further on.
Okay.
In this edition.
So what does it say there?
Mem Daled, who Hoshea ben Nun. Shabbos shel Diuzni, is that right? Hayasor Nitzela Rashus, is that right? Rashus,
Rishus, exactly right.
yeah. Niza Nitana Laze Amid Lo Mashe Amisora Nemo Shia Shia Sicha Dorosh Sayoi Kadai Shalo Yomaru Israel Chayei de Rabacha Lo Hayo Lo Lach Sarim Rosh Rosh.
Which is the way we'll read what you have in English there next to it also. Read the English.
Yes, we've got the
And
English here. The English, it was a Shabbos of transmission of office, literally of two pairs of judges. Authority was taken from one and given to the other. Sota 13b. Moshe appointed a Metageman for Joshua, that he, Joshua, should hold in public and halachic discourse during his, that's Moshe's, lifetime, in order that Israelites should not say to him, during thy teacher's lifetime thou did not dare to raise thy head. And why does it, scripture here, call him Hosea, since his name had long since been changed to that of Joshua, compared in Numbers, in order to indicate that he did not become overbearing, for although his dignity had been conferred upon him, he assumed a humble bearing as at the commencement of his career.
Okay, so so you see two things here. So how do you understand what Rashi is answering two questions here, right?
Yeah. Hoshea wasn't Hoshea, it was Joshua.
Right. So the question
That's
is
one
why?
thing.
Yeah, why?
Because, and his name had been changed a long time ago, which we've forgotten about. And we have to look at Numbers 13, Fossick 16. And how does it mean that he, in order to indicate that he did not become overbearing, it was to point out that Yehoshua was humble as well. He didn't sort of step in front of Moshe because he probably knew he was going to be leading. Why was his name changed? Do we remember? I don't remember.
That was when they were going on the Meragli meeting. Moshe Rabbeinu added a yud to his name. If you remember, yeah, that was explained over there, right? Adding the yud, so it should be successful against the plots of the Meragli.
Okay. And what else did we? Oh, yeah.
So
yes, and also, sorry.
The pasuk tells us clearly that Yoshua had to also do the give the discourse here as well, right? That was very important for the transmission of the Torah from one leader to the next. It was very important that Yoshua also gave it the discourse of the same. It was apparently repeated. Everything was repeated here again to the benefit of Yoshua, according to Rashi's explanation.
Yeah.
That for the benefit of Yeshua's inauguration as the next leader of Klal Yisrael.
Yeah, he had to demonstrate as well to the people that he he knew what Moshe Rabbeinu knew too, with regards to what we need to do and how we're supposed to behave ourselves and believe in. It's sort of ratifying that he is is worthy to take over. He's got all the tools needed for a leader in every manner that Moshe Rabbeinu had.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
And that he and that he wasn't sort of holding back in case he couldn't match up to Moshe Rabbeinu. He was accepted by Moshe Rabbeinu, but by giving this shiur, this discourse, in front of the people and in front of Moshe Rabbeinu, and not being castigated by Moshe Rabbeinu, but being accepted by Moshe Rabbeinu, it further enhances his position, Yahushua's position as a potential leader, or as a coming leader.
I mean, it's necessary that because as Rashi said, the people wouldn't have accepted Yeshua completely if he hadn't done this with the permission of Moshe Rabbeinu. It was important for the successful transmission of the leadership from Moshe Rabbeinu to Yeshua that it was done while Moshe Rabbeinu was still alive, because that obviously would mean that Yeshua had the complete affirmation and certification of Yeshua as the next leader, which was absolutely vital in terms of the necessity of ensuring that the next leader of Klal Yisrael would have as much recognition as necessary for the successful carrying out of his position of being the leader of Klal Yisrael. No, this was no easy job, that's for sure. And in spite of that, so then the pasuk also ratifies. So not only did Moshe Rabbeinu ratify the fact that now Yeshua is going to be the new leader of the whole of the Klal Yisrael, but now the Torah itself goes out of its way and makes another ratification. It ratifies Yeshua in a different way, right? That's the second part of this Rashi. Let's look at that second part of the Rashi again.
I've got to find it. I've got to turn back. Got so many little. All right. Which is the second? Maybe someone else can do this.
You want to do that last half of the Rashi?
Oh, I found it. Yeah.
Okay. Lama Korehu Han Hosea. Why does it call him here Hosea? Lamar, to say below Sacha .o alav, that he did not become conceited. She'af al pi shenik na lo bedula, that even though he gave him greatness, ishpil atzmo, he humbled himself. Asher mitchilaso, as he had done initially. So in other words, it's saying that he's referred to as Hosea to show that he was humble.
And what's the proof that he was humble? Rashi explains that specifically, right?
That he was using his name as it was originally when he was beginning and not so exalted.
Right, because they use the his original name, not the name that he was given by Moshe Rabbeinu, that with the extra yud added at the onset of going on to the Meraglim. He was the pasuk states that he and calls him by his original name to prove that he remained exactly in the same status in terms of his humility. His anava, as we call it in Hebrew, remained unchanged. He was unaffected by the taking on of this position. And that could have been. I mean, all you have to think about, anytime you just watch some politician on the when they announce that he's just won the election, he's just dripping with gaiva, there's not, he's now gonna change the world, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that, he beat the opponent, it's just an experience of just watching how a person takes everything to his head and goes with it. And here Yeshua has been chosen by a Kadosh Baruch Hu, he's been chosen by Rosh Rabbeinu, he's about to lead the Klal Yisrael, and he's completely unaffected by it. Would you say it's almost superhuman to be on such a level, no?
They were superhuman beings then, compared to us.
Well, I mean, in terms of that's something that's compared to us. Okay, that's one thing compared to us. But even, I mean, I would imagine that the Torah making a point of this also is telling us in a certain way that it was a very exceptional thing as well. If it was nothing exceptional, probably wouldn't have gone. The Torah itself wouldn't have gone out of its way to explain it. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think so. The Torah doesn't tell us facts that are not important.
Right.
When you say the Torah, we mean here Hashem wants us to know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Kadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah are synonymous. That's right. Well, but it also is very mukhrach. It's almost out of necessity. It has to be that way for a person to actually become a leader of Torah and to lead Klal Yisrael in a Torah way. It requires that a person be humble, be an honor. With any kind of gaiva would be poisonous to the success of the person personally, and to the success of his Torah as well. Any slight gaiva would ruin the whole thing.
I don't know why, but I was just thinking that it must mean also that their wives and families were also humble, because they didn't go around saying, "Oh, look at my papa, he's a really great man." Oh, my husband, wow, you haven't got a husband like that.
Yeah.
Their families must also be humble.
Yeah, no doubt. Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. And now take a look at the next pasuk mem vav.
Vichal Moshe l'daber es kol hadivarim ha'eleh el kol Yisrael. Moshe concluded speaking all these words to Israel. Now that's odd. It just said it was Moshe and Hosea. Now it's saying Moshe only.
Right.
And there's no Rashi in 45.
Right. Okay, so I guess we just have to transplant what we know from the previous pasuk to here also and say that Yeshua was also echoing what Moshe Rabbeinu said as through a targum. I guess that's what we have to say. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Let's go on to the pasuk after that. That would be Mem Vav. Right?
I don't think that Yehoshua is mentioned again for quite a while.
Right. That's right. It was just this one point that the Torah mentioned that it was there. So right. So now you know that it's going on. It's a Moshe Rabbeinu and Yehoshua. So then it's only necessary to mention Moshe Rabbeinu at this point. You don't have to repeat it was Moshe and Yehoshua. Moshe and Yehoshua.
Vayomer Alehem, Simu Levavchem, L'cho Hadvarim Asher Anochi Me'id Bachem, Hayom Asher Titzavum, Es Benechem, Lishmor La'asos, Es Kol Divrei HaTorah Hazos. Okay, so and he said to them, apply your heart to all the words that I testify. Now it says Bachem. I would translate that as with you, or yeah, with you, but it says against you. Hayom.
I've got
Asher-
among.
What?
Is he right?
I've got among is my translation there.
Among.
Among. Yeah,
Okay.
I like that. Seems to fit more with the bet than against. Like I like your translation better than mine.
Yeah, I think the word against is Old English type of thing, meaning among.
Right.
Very
Kind of,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
Asher Titzavum. That I instruct Es Benechem, your children, Lishmor, to guard, La'asos, to do, Es Kol Divrei, all the words, Torah Hazos, of this Torah.
Okay, so let's just read the pasuk again, all straight through in English. Get a picture of the pasuk, and then we'll see Rashi. Very, very, very important Rashi coming up.
Okay, so he said to them, apply your heart to all the words that I testify against you today, which you are to instruct your children to be careful to perform all the words of this Torah.
Okay, very good. Now, Rashi goes into a very important explanation here. Let's take a look at the Rashi.
Simu levavchem, apply your heart. Sevicha
Pay
and Saricha,
pay attention. Should pay attention. Though, it's a special mitzvah to pay attention, right?
right? Sarich Adam. It is necessary for a person, sheyiyu a nav, v'aznav libo mechuvanim. To let's see that they should be his eyes and his ears and his heart mechuvanim, directed. The divrei Torah, 2 words of Torah. Mechain hu omer, and likewise it says, Ben Adam, son of man, re'eh be'einecha, see with your eyes, uva aznecha shama, and with your ears hear, v'sim libcha v'gomer, and place your heart, etc. V'harei devarim kal v'chomer. And behold, this is a matter of kol v'chomer. Uma havinis habayis, just as the structure of the house, and my English says the base of Mikdash, shehu nir'eh la a naim, that it is visible to the eyes, the nim dad the kaneh, and it is measurable with a rod.
Right.
Tarich Adam, it is necessary for a person, sheyiyu einav v'aznav v'libo mechuvanim, that his eyes, his ears, and his heart to be directed, the havin, to understand divrei Torah, words of Torah, shehein kaharirin, to luyin bisa'ara, that they are like mountains hanging by a hair. Al achas kama v'kama, how much more so my English says that they require full concentration. Maybe I should read the English because I lost track.
Okay, let's review the English. Good idea. Let's review the English.
Okay, it's necessary for a person that his eyes, ears, and heart be directed to words of Torah. And similarly, it says, Son of man, see with your eyes, and with your ears hear, and apply your heart, etc. Behold, the matter is a kol v'chomer. Now, if regarding the structure of the Beis Hamikdash, the subject of the verse just quoted, which is visible to the eyes and measurable with a measuring rod, a person needs that his eyes, ears, and heart be directed in order to understand it.
Right.
Words of Torah, which are like mountains hanging by a hair, how much more so?
Right.
Oh, I get it.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Let me hear you want to explain it. Go ahead, Lou.
So it's saying that we just were talking about the Beis Hamikdash, and we said that Beis Hamikdash is very difficult to fathom. You need to really put all your senses into it in order to understand it. So Kol v'chomer, the Torah, which is not substantial, you can't see it, you can't measure it. It's like a mountain hanging by a hair. In other words, it's very, very difficult, very vast. How much more so do you need to put all your senses into understanding it?
Right.
Yeah, it says here, numerous laws are derived from a single word of the Torah. That's what he's got in brackets here, for mountains suspended on a hair. Numerous laws are derived from a single word of the Torah. The single word would be the hair.
Good. Okay. Um, so the, there's a special command, right? According to the way Rashi is explaining this pasuk, there's a special command that you have to pay, pay, pay special attention to your learning. Right? It's not simply enough that you can superficially try and understand the Torah. It's something which is going to be requiring a in-depth thought process, analysis, which is going to take you to the understanding that the Torah wants it to be the true, perfect understanding that we have of the Torah. The Torah wasn't written in a way that it can be understood simply from what's written there. That's what we call Torah Shabbat, right? You need not only Torah Shabbat, you need Torah Shabbat. And the way that you unlock the door to the pathway to learn Torah from the Torah Shabbat Peh is through asking questions by paying attention to the facts of what you're being taught. From there you have a ability to try and understand the real true meaning of the words of the Torah itself, which you wouldn't necessarily be sensitive to without the sensitivity to trying to understand the true learning of the Torah, meaning of the Torah. You'll never get to a true understanding of the meaning of the Torah. Very, very good. Very good.
I suppose one of the ways of doing that for the individual would be to read all the various comments and commentaries from the various rabbanim throughout the ages on the same passage, the same phrase, the same word.
That's one approach.
Yeah.
But even before that is that you need to have the sensitivity, right? That's what the simul laravkim, place your hearts, right? But pay attention, as Rashi says, right? That's a real absolute necessity in your learning, that you should be sensitive enough to the fact that again, we understand the Torah was given Mishamayim, and it was given to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he taught it to all of us. And so it's something which is a very lofty and noble thing that you're dealing with. And if you treat it with the specific respect that it's due, so therefore the true understanding and true meanings of what you're learning will become apparent to you. But if you don't give the Torah the sufficient respect and realize its great exaltedness, then you will be very, very hard pressed to be able to enter into the true understanding of what the Torah is wanting to teach us.
I think that also, you can't do it by yourself. You need a Rav. You need a teacher that knows it a lot better than you. That he got it from his teacher. Otherwise, it's impossible. There's just too much breadth and too much depth.
Yeah, that you have to have guidance. You have to have a what they call it in English. It's called tutelage. You have a mentor. You have tutelage, and then through that you begin to develop on your own. Right, but without that, it's very difficult. Yeah, the Steinberg, one of the Rocker, brought a quote from the Shar Yasher Shayus was written by Rav Shimon Shkup. He was in the last previous generation, one of the great Torah minds of learning, specifically of learning. So he explains there that there was a Gemara that, if I'm not mistaken, that the there was a certain question that I think it was Rav Dimi. I'm trying to find it just. It was Rav Dimi. A certain question of his rabbi, and one second, I can try and quote it for you exactly. Okay. Hold on, you'll find it in a moment. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, very good. Okay, I found the Gemara. This is a quote from Scheinberg's. It's quoted the preface, the introduction of Rav Shimon Shkup's sefer on it's called Shar Yosher. It's a compendium of in-depth deep analysis of various very difficult parts of the Gemara, various different Gemaras. So in the preface to the volume on of the Sefer, so there's a Gemara, he quotes them. The Gemara in Bava Kama happens to be on Daf Chaf Amud Beis 20b. That it was the Gemara was discussing a question about a person receiving benefits without another person's knowledge or the owner's knowledge. Certain question in the legal question that the Gemara is dealing with. So there was a certain question that Rav Chizda put to Rami Bar Chama. Rav Chizda put a question to Rami Bar Chama. So before Rami Bar Chama answered Rav Chizda's question, Rami Bar Chama asked Rav Chizda if he would take his turban, and fold it for him. He wanted him to take his turban and fold it for him. So the question is that Rav Shimon Shkup quotes one of his rabbis, Rav Shlomo Zalman Kalman, and he explained that what was the Gemara trying to teach us? What was Rav Chizda doing by accepting this request of Rav Chizda? So Rav Chizda, when Rami Bar Chama told him to take his handkerchief or his turban and fold it for him, put it away for him, so that showed if Rami Bar Chama saw that Rav Chizda was willing to serve him, to what we call in Hebrew Mishamishim, to be subjugate to Rami Bar Chama, right? So Rav Chizda understood that the Rami Bar Chama would now be in a proper frame of mind to accept the answer that he was going to give him. Meaning, as Rav Shimon Shkup explains like this, if the question is of a simple sort, right, then it's a simple question which could readily be understood. But if you're going to give a difficult answer to a question, if it's a serious question, it's going to be a difficult answer. It's not going to be a simple answer, right? So the only time that the answer is going to be fixed and accepted in the minds of the Talmud is if the Talmud has a certain respect and approach to dealing with his Rebbe. As the person he's asking the question to, it's his Rebbe, and he's asking a question in a certain way that allows that the interchange of the information between the Rebbe and the Talmud will be free-flowing and proper and accurate. And if there's what we call a hisnagdus, if there's a lack of recognition on the part of the Talmud to the greatness of his Rebbe, then especially when something's going to be presented to him that he finds difficult to understand, he's not going to be able to readily accept it, right? Because the only time that some things can be accepted is through hearing the statement of the Rebbe and then dwelling on it to try and understand the truth of what the Rebbe is telling you. But if a person doesn't have the proper understanding of the greatness of his Rebbe, so he'll never have the actual true desire to delve deeply and to understand the words that the Rebbe is telling him. So it's crucial that the Talmud has a certain understanding of the greatness of the Rebbe and a certain respect, therefore, for the Rebbe himself. As similarly to the Torah, just as we're learning now from Rashi in itself, the Torah is telling, pay attention. You should realize the greatness of what you're dealing here with, the greatness of what you're supposed to be learning, that the Torah is given to us, Shemayim, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he gave it all to us, to Klal Yisrael. And it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's word, his desire and his intention and his goals and purposes for what he expects of us to do in our lives, in all aspects of our lives. And if we don't pay sufficient attention to what the Torah itself is, we'll never be able to delve deeply and properly into the words itself. So that's works in the same way as Torah Sheba'al Peh, that in the Talmud, recognizing and understanding the greatness of his Rebbe, that is the way to really become great by himself, because he'll have the opportunity of a Rebbe teaching him, and he'll be able to have that connection with Torah through a Rebbe, the Torah Shebaksav and the Torah Sheba'al Peh, and that'll allow him to be successful. So that's very important. Simchas Torah is coming up in a few weeks. Mitzvah Shem, this is the second to the last parsha of the Torah. There's also Broshka. We're gonna be reading on Simchas Torah. We're gonna be starting Bereshis after that as well. So good. Well, Mitzvah Shem continue. Let's see. Sunday will be. We said, what did we say? 9 o'clock on Sunday.
9:30, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, was that maybe?
I think, I'm not too sure. Lou?
Yeah, 9:30 on Sunday and 9:30 on Monday.
Okay.
Even Monday
very
is
good.
Erev Sukkot.
Yes, it is coming up quick. Everyone should get everything they need to get.
We're going to
Yeah.
make the sacrifice and teach us anyway.
That's Hashem. That's Hashem. There's time, Baruch Hashem, there's time for everything. Especially to have to make time for learning. So I'll be preparing. If I can send it out today, I'll send it out today, or not, Motzei Shabbos, or even at the beginning of the morning on Sunday, I'll send out a couple of things we can do before the Chag comes in, something really relevant to Sukkot. Okay,
Great.
very.
I can't think of a better way to prepare for Sukkot than learning Torah.
It's absolutely the best way. There's no doubt about it. 100%. 100%.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, be good. Very good Erev Shabbos, and hope to see you all on Yom Rishon.
Good Shabbos. Thank you very much. Good Shabbos, everybody.
Thank you, Khil. Yeah, everyone be well. Thank you.
Shabbos Yechiel, Shabbos Roy.
Good Shabbos to all of you. Bye-bye.